Darin, just your thoughts about kind of the new season, how you feel about the ball.
Well, I know we have a lot of guys ready to get back on the field. We talked about, every season doesn't, last year doesn't mean anything compared to this year. You say the same thing every year, but I'd be lying to say that these guys aren't ticked off and ready to get back on the field.
Yeah, what is the mood of this team heading in after the year you had a year ago?
I think a lot of guys were injured and didn't get a chance to do what they wanted to do, and I think they, anytime you don't get to play, that kind of fuels the fire. So it's safe to say motivation has not been an issue with this group. But they're in a good place up to this point. They've done what they need to do to be ready to go.
How much do you think it's motivated these guys to have some of those leaders back from injury in this offseason?
Well, I mean, it's just nice to have good players back, and they're great kids, and anytime you go through a year-long rehab of something and put a lot of work into it, the more you put into it, the more it means to you. And we have a lot of guys in that situation, and maybe have a couple guys that didn't have the years they thought they were going to have last year, and are ready to atone for that. So, just overall, they're just in a really good place.
How are guys coming back from injury?
Yeah, they're all on different timelines, but there's no set timeline for anybody. We're just going to take it day by day and see what we have. To say we're going to have everybody full strength from the very get-go is probably not an accurate statement. Everybody's going to be on different levels of pitch counts right away, but in decent amount of time, we'll have everybody back, and it'll be fun.
Did you do any kind of off-season adjustments to maybe avoid some of those injuries after last year?
Well, the recent one we had yesterday was a guy trying to get out of his car over a curb and spraining his ankles. So no, we haven't made any adjustments to some of those. We try and avoid those. But from an arm standpoint, yeah, we've spent a lot of time on it. We've uncovered everything, and we spend a majority of our practice, dealing with that kind of stuff and making sure these guys are in shape. So we're very confident that they're going to be prepared for where they need to be.
I know you don't get too much into rankings, but you did bring in what is perceived as a pretty highly touted recruiting class. I guess how good can that freshman class? Obviously, they're 18 years old, but I guess are these guys that can help this team right away?
Well, they think they're pretty good. We're going to find out. I mean, you set up a tough schedule for them, and then we're going to find out that's what they want. They want to be elite. They think they're going to be elite. Well, they're going to have to beat the elite, and that's what this is. And that being said, this group of young guys definitely they have a chance, and they're still in the learning processes of what it takes to do it every day and be prepared. But I'll just say they have a chance. Yes.
You always talk about early on the game kind of speeds up on those young
Yes.
guys. Is there stuff that you can do, over these next 3 weeks or so before you guys get to Riverside to really help those young guys along, or what do you kind of do to speed that process up?
Yeah, I mean, you try and put them in drills that speed the game up. I think a big thing you do is when you have some older guys that have been there and they talk to them. It's one thing for a coach to say, "Hey, you got to be prepared for this. This is coming." They think we're old and don't know anything. So when their own teammates start talking to them, and fortunately we have some older guys that have been there and do a great job of explaining, "Hey, this is what's coming. Be ready for this. It goes fast." In the classroom, just getting ready for games, the turnaround, the travel, all that stuff. We've got some guys that are really doing a nice job of getting these guys ready.
How much do you think Curtis has affected these guys' approach to play in his first few months?
I guess we'll find out. We have very similar type of approaches. It's nice to have a different voice in there. He had already developed a great relationship with all these guys, in the operations spot. He's been coaching for 10 years in the academy and running our academy, so I've been able to see firsthand how he went about his business. And man, when a guy turns down his paycheck to be a volunteer and coach, if that doesn't show passion for something, I don't know what does. So we're super excited to have him.
Where did you want Angelo to grow in the ball this year?
Just be Angelo. Stop trying to do too much. I mean, last year he was trying to get drafted higher than the first round and hit balls 600 feet instead of just going out there and playing as a game. I mean, he's one of the best competitors I've ever been around, and the guy's a winner. And, last year I think he just tried to press a little bit. Not to mention takes a ball off the groin and has to go to the hospital, and takes a ball off the face and has to go to the hospital. So he just, it's one of those years baseball guys threw a lot at him, and he's ready to go.
Do you think, would you take that as a good sign that he went to Waterloo and hit 316? Does that matter to you?
I don't look at the summer numbers, but I know he can hit. I mean, it's not a question about that. I'm just glad to see him go out there and not have to wear a face mask to play baseball. So he's just in a real good spot, and it sucks that it's almost over. He's got one more shot at this, and he knows that, along with a lot of other guys. So it's we got a very motivated older group.
Where's Lensman at? How would you characterize his recovery?
In a good spot. Yeah, again, he thinks he's going to throw 158 pitches on opening day. You know, I mean, that's his mindset. I mean, he's a caged animal being ready to be released, and you know, he can't wait to get out there. We just have to make sure he understands to take it day by day, and you know, the first weekend's not a deadline for every single guy. You know, we're just going to see where everybody's at and prepare. You know, like I've said, you know, we're going to probably have 7 to 8 guys that are prepared to be starters and have them stretched out, and you know, a lot of these guys coming back are only going to be one-time-a-week guys right out of the gate. So we're going to have to be creative and fill in those innings with those guys.
These guys have taken a lot of ownership about improving defensively on last year.
Well, you know, I would say that we had a lot of inexperience, a lot of guys out of position just to have enough bodies on the field to play the game of baseball. I'm very confident in our ability to play defense. We've done it at a pretty high level, I think, since we've been here. Last year, it was as bad news bearish as you could ever imagine. It was not a good, you know, just guys, it's that dirty snowball. Right? I mean, a couple of guys make mistakes and the next things just speed up, and then one thing happens and it just can't stop it. And you know, I guess that's what losing teams do. They find ways to lose, and we found many, many ways to lose. I can tell you this much, though. It was not lack of effort. You know, you look, it could have went through the motions. We were battling tooth and nail all the way in that last series against Illinois. At no point did this team ever shut it down and stop playing. I like that. And when you have that, we got a bunch of fighters, and we're healthy this year. It's going to be fun to watch.
Darin, what freshman could make an impact right away coming out? Any of these kids that we saw through high school?
Unfortunately, I don't have a crystal ball. I'm not very good at that stuff. So, you know, we'll let them play it out on there. And, you know, the great thing, we got a lot of uncertainty all over the place, and that creates opportunities. So we're going to have a lot of guys fighting for different spots, and, you know, probably be some moving pieces as far as who's in there and not in there throughout the first few weekends. But with the caliber of teams we're playing, by the time we get to conference play, we're going to know exactly who can play the game of baseball at a high level.
Wilkening and Shriver supplied a lot of the power numbers. Is there any player or players you look to for that now that have to kind of fill that void?
I anticipated being a deeper, more stretched lineup. Probably not sitting there like waiting for 2 guys to come to the plate, and that's how we're going to score runs. I'm pretty confident in our abilities up and down the lineup, and not just in our lineup, but we've got a handful of guys that we feel can hit that might not even get in there. So that's really created some good competition, and you know, it's just you know, I guess I don't know how it's going to play out, but you know, one thing, I mean, perfect example. I could sit here and talk about all kinds of guys, and then a guy like Mojo Hagee just shows up out of nowhere and wins the starting spot. Yeah. So that's why I don't ever close my mind on this guy's going to do this guy's going to do this. Now we'll see.
Okay. Hey, which are some of those young guys? I mean, big pitch, big play in the field for you. How do you bring them along? I guess by challenging them but not putting too much on their plates too. At this point?
No, the number one thing is obviously getting their arms in shape with our new throwing program and making sure that that's all paired with their lifting and their recovery for throwing. As far as offensively and getting them in there, it's being smart with when they're maybe DHing, maybe they're playing a position, and just understanding when they're going to pitch and just having it mapped out for them. And you know, that's what something we'll have to figure out in these next few weeks, how it's going to be done. You would like to not throw any of those young guys in big pressure situations and let them get their feet wet. But I don't know if that's going to happen. We're just going to throw them out there and let's go.
It's kind of unique for you. You've had that many guys that play both ways. I mean, is that a challenge as a coach to kind of figure out how those guys go in there?
Yeah, I mean, it worked itself out, but it's just, you know, a lot of guys, I mean, pretty much everybody does both in high school, and they think they can do both. And I mean, I'm not going to shut any doors. If they can hit, great. If they pitch, great. If they can do both, awesome. You know, so with the limited roster that we have, the limited amount of scholarships, we're going to keep everything on the table to see who can fit where and try and maximize everything out of our best players.
The non-conference schedule, do you like how that sets up for this team?
I do. I mean, it's going to put us in a position where we have an opportunity. If we don't win, you know, 40 games, that we're going to have a shot to get into the postseason, and that's what we have to do. It's also going to let us know, a lot of these young guys, who's ready to play. Like by conference time, they are going to be battle tested, and we're going to know. And yeah, I just love the challenge. And like these guys, this young group and our older group, they've won a conference title. Our younger guys think they're really good. Well, to be the best, you got to beat the best, and we're going to give them every last shot to do that.
You still think Minnesota's a team?
Every year it's the same thing. You know, they say this team's going to be first and second, and then they end up 7th and 8th, and the 8th place team finishes first. I mean, Minnesota winning 2 out of the last 3 with that pitching staff back. I'd say they'd be up there. I don't get into that stuff, but if I had to guess, I'd say Michigan's probably up there too. And I mean, who knows how it plays out? I worry about our guys, and we'll go from there.
That'll